How's everybody doing tonight? All right, how's the food? That's the most important part. All right, everybody. Well, first of all, my name is Ruben Pazmino. I'm a trustee in Homer Glen. I'm also involved in the Homer Township Republican Organization. Thanks very much. I will be completely honest with you, I didn't expect such a huge turnout because number one, it's summertime. Number two, there's this weird thing called COVID. And number three, I don't know, things just work out that way. But I want you guys to give yourselves a warm applause, please, because you are all patriots. Give it up, please. Give it up for each other. All right, guys. Thank you very much. So, number one, we have a huge lineup today. We have a lot of great people speaking for the cause. But I do want to say, before I start, that as a small business owner, us small business owners, we see something, this little something called communism. We see communism rearing its ugly head before anybody else sees it. You know why? Because of the fact that we get all the ordinances, we get all the rules, they shut us down first. They come to us and they mess with us first. Why? Because the United States is the backbone, okay, of small business, and small business is the backbone of the United States. So if you want to destroy a country, you go after the small business, the mom and pop stores, the people that actually work for a living, that get up, that work every single day to survive. Okay? So everybody at the beginning, you got to keep your eyes open for this type of thing because communism has a weird way of just easing in there. And it all starts locally. It starts with our committeemen, it starts with our mayors, it starts with our townships, it starts with our villages, and it just creeps in. And by the time you know it, guess what? You're knee-deep in it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, when you see your towns and your villages that are, what's the term? Bipartisan. Bipartisan, what does that mean? That means that I don't want to tell you if I'm a Democrat, or I don't want to tell you if I'm a Republican. I'm just going to kind of sneak it in there. And I don't want to mention any names or any villages, but you know, I see this locally. For example, when you start seeing some proclamations, proclamations saying gun awareness. When you start seeing those weird, nasty proclamations that say gun violence awareness. Well, what does that mean, gun violence awareness? What does that mean? Guys in the back, I know you're hungry, but let's listen. This is very important. When they start bringing out those terms, those are the ways that they start to sneak right in. Why can't we say violence awareness? Why can't we say bullying? Why can't we say, there's a million different ways you can put that in, but then when they start sneaking it in under guns, and they start sneaking in under those types of things, that's what you got to start looking out for. You got to start looking at it locally. You got to start engaging in your Republican organizations locally, like the HTRO, because we are here in a grassroots operation to get the Republican word out. And what does the Republican word mean? What does it mean? Family, no taxes, and less government interaction. So, you're going to hear this a lot. This is going to be today's subject, so I don't want to beat this to death. So, from this point forward, because there's a lot of people that have to say a lot of things, I want to introduce the chief of the HTRO, Mr. Steve Ballich. Everybody give it up for Mr. Steve Ballich.
Yes, sir. I love our flag and I love our country. And screw anybody that doesn't. If they don't love it, get the hell out of here, right? The president does the same thing as me. Actually, I'm trying to be like the president when I do that because he's right.
Yes.
How the hell can we live in a country where socialist, communist, Marxist pigs gonna walk around and say that they're in control one mission, to fix where we live. And we will fix where we live. And we have a lot of people that are working real hard in the organization, and the other ones that haven't really figured it out yet, because we have so many people that never were involved with politics that are involved with the group now because they have had it. They're tired of being told what to do. We're a free country. Nobody should tell us what to do. But anyway, I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much for coming out. Thanks to Broncos over here from the Megaplex. Our Homer Township Republican meetings are at the Megaplex. Ruby Agave, he opens his place up for us whenever we need it, and he's not afraid of us. We need everybody. We need everybody to chip in. If you do one more thing than you did last year, and one more thing that you do now compared to the last election, we win.
That's right.
So everybody got to get out. So God bless you all.
Thanks, Steve. All right, everybody. So I want to introduce to you today, to get your patriotic juices flowing, to get those goosebumps rolling, Dr. John Barbush. Everybody give it up for Dr. John Barbush.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dallas. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean, wide and far. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. You know, those unalienable rights that we have, we know they don't come from our government. We know that. And we also know it comes from our God from above. So we give him thanks to the mountains, to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. Let me hear you sing it. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. All right. Thank you, and thank God for the life that he gives us. This next song is played overseas for all of our men and women serving in the armed forces overseas. Go ahead when you're ready. And our young men and women overseas think that this is our national anthem. Certainly, they recognize the unity that the words have. If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my God above to be living here today, 'cause this flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. please stand for the national anthem? Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we marched, so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night for the land of the free and the home of the brave. To the great God who gave us this wonderful country. And now, it's back to you.
Thank you, everybody. Give it up one more time for Dr. John Barbush. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right, so everybody knows here that every good Republican loves his country and loves God. Religion is a very, very huge staple of family, and it is what makes us live every day, one by one. So on that note, I'd like to introduce Father Tom Loya from Byzantine Church in Homer Glen. Everybody give it up for Father Tom.
Thanks for the invitation. It's so nice. I don't have to, we don't have to do the Masketeer thing tonight. But just in case, I brought my own designer. All of you remember the name John Adams, right? The Founding Fathers. John Adams was the last of the remaining Founding Fathers. He was the oldest one. He was in his 80s. So there's already a generation growing up that was born after the Revolution. So these young men asked John, he said, John, tell us, you were part of that revolution. Who was really behind it? Who was really, come on, tell me, who was really behind it? And John said, I'll tell you who was behind it. It wasn't me. It wasn't Jefferson. It wasn't Ben Franklin. It was our priests and our ministers. Because when they got up that pulpit, they spoke the truth about the human person and the order of God's creation and how society was supposed to manifest that through its systems and laws. Our hearts burned, and we were willing to die for that. That's what was behind the revolution. Our priests and our ministers. 244 years later, here I stand before you, a revolutionary. In the same spirit as those priests and preachers and ministers, because that revolution was not one of destruction, but it was calling people to the order of things, to God's order. And God's order, which is everything good, is manifested through civilization, through society, laws, order, benevolence, love, justice. That's how God makes himself present on earth, tangible. We can taste him, feel him. So, evil, since time immemorial, seeks to destroy, deny the presence of God on earth. So what's it going to do? It's going to destroy civilization. And it does so through ideologies. Like Ruben just said, like communism, which infiltrates and destroys. We are in a cosmic battle. It goes way beyond Democrat, Republican, Pelosi, and Trump. It's a cosmic battle of good and evil, where civilization can rise and fall on what we do or don't do. I have a very big skin in this game. You know why? Rubin said communism first seeks the small businessman. Woman, person, whatever. Yes, it does. But it ultimately, its final goal is the church. Because when everything else has failed, as it is now, the education system, the economy, the government, everything, nothing is working right, is it? Name one thing is working right except this restaurant. One thing. Nothing is working right. When all that has failed, as it is, there's one thing that remains between the ultimate victory of evil and God's presence through civilization, and that is the church. In the whole of the Bible, the one thing that God spoke most against was fear. And we're living under a pall of fear, aren't we? The devil's got us right where he wants us. Our destruction is in his grasp. He sees it, he can smell it. All he has to do is go, and we're done. Because we're afraid. You see, fear is a denial of God. And that leaves us with only human solutions. As great as he is, as wonderful, and he's a God sent, Trump cannot do it alone. There is no human solution. We have to do our part. We have to trust God and preserve his order. As this country has modeled for 200 years. And we have to push back and be not afraid. Be not afraid. Now I'll finish by doing what we priests do. We pray. Oh Lord and Master and God, it's proper to praise you, to thank you, to worship in every place of your dominion. You brought us out of non-existence into being, and left nothing undone until you brought us to heaven and gave us your kingdom to come. You taught us to pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Oh Lord, bless all our good intentions as is your good will. Bless our government and all in the service of our country. Let them govern in peace, O Lord. Help them to make your kingdom on earth, so that in their tranquility we may lead a calm and quiet life in all piety and holiness. Bless all who are gathered here. Forgive our sins and transgressions. Grant us all the spirit of vigilance, fortitude, faith, and love. Grant us all a peaceful, long life and salvation and life to come. For you are holy, our God, and we give glory to you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, now and ever and forever. Amen.
Wow, I don't know about you guys, but I just felt amazing after that. Thank you, Father Tom. Everybody give it up to Father Tom once more. Because at the end of the day, it's about God. It's family religion. That's what keeps us all in place. And these communists, they really don't give a damn. They want you to look at them. There is no God to them. That's why they want to take God out of schools. They want to take it out of government. They don't even want to see the word God anywhere. And that's where we as strong Republicans will say, absolutely not. That's not where we're going. This is what we want, and that's why we pray and we pledge allegiance every activity that we have. So, next up, Sean Morrison is that. I didn't see him today. I see him on the list, but I don't know if he's here. Sean Morrison, yeah?
He's not here.
He's not here today. Okay. So next up, we have an amazing, genuine gentleman by the name of Tim Ozinga running for state rep. Everybody give it up for Tim Ozinga. Now, if you don't know Tim, you see his little red and white striped trucks running around everywhere. This is the man right here. Thanks, Tim. Everybody give it up.
Thank you, Ruben. So if you didn't have one before, you got a concrete guy now. You got a guy. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is truly an honor. And Father, thank you. Dr. John, thank you. It's like refreshing for the soul to be here, which is very good. One of the things I wanted to talk about today, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of you, part of the family business, local business owner, and there's a lot of good news happening in this state. It's good for some, maybe bad for others. I don't know if you may have heard about the news about Madigan. And we now have some additional help to fight crime in our city as well. So while the feds are doing their job in the state of Illinois, in the city of Chicago, in the absence of true leadership, it's our job here on the front lines to do our part. And it's really exciting to get wrapped up in the news and everything else going on, but the real activity happens right here, locally, doorstep by doorstep, person by person. And that's really where we need to invest our time. So it's really exciting to see how many folks are out here today. I love all of you. Y'all are my favorite people. And this is, like I said, it's refreshing to my soul. But the battleground is out in your neighborhood. The battleground is out in our towns and our villages, like Ruben said. It comes in slowly, and it creeps in, and before you know it, things take over. So a lot of you have had this experience. So the one thing I want to urge everyone to do here today is these parties are great, and it's a way to build relationships, it's a way to build networks. But from here, we need to take this out, and we need to get out walking. You need to talk to your neighbors. You need to knock on your doors in your neighborhood. We need to do fundraising. Some of this stuff costs money. It's part of the game. But oftentimes you hear it called fundraising or donating or contributing. But I would really urge you to think of it as an investment. This is an investment in the future of your community. This is an investment in your children's future. These candidates that are here today have put a part of their life aside to go to bat for you. And what we need is just a little bit of investment of your time, your resources. So there's a lot of different opportunities. Some people can't walk, that's fine. There's opportunities to do phone banking. There's opportunities to let us know where great sign locations are. There's all different opportunities that we can approach. And the one thing is just to be involved. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been involved. It's one thing to talk, but it's the people that work hard and pound the pavement that get the job done. Hard work can beat talent almost any day of the week. So we need to be persistent and keep working hard. Myself and my team, we were finally able to start getting out this month of July. So far, we're on track to knock 15,000 doors this month. So we're working hard. And if you look at the map, District 37, which covers Mokina, Frankfort, New Lenox, Homer Glen, southern parts of Orland Park, Tinley Park, we're surrounded by a sea of blue. We're one of the last state representative districts outside of Chicago that's still Republican, and we're going to work hard to keep it that way, and we're going to work hard together as a team to keep Homer Township, to win back our county, and will, and to win back this state. And so it's not a lost cause. I know a lot of you, like me, are invested in this state, and we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay. There's a lot of people leaving, but we're here to stay, and so we need to fight for our home. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, so, you know, when the governor, I forget his name, but that guy, when he shut us all down, there was very few mayors that stood up to him. Everybody head for the hills, everybody tucked their tails between their legs, and they said, you know what, I'm not going against this guy because he's a nut job and he's going to take my funding and he's not going to give me any of my state money and blah, 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 blah. But there was only a few mayors that told him basically to go to hell. We don't need you. We're a strong community and we're going to do what we got to do to survive for our small businesses and for our people. And one of those few mayors is here tonight, Mr. Keith Pekau. Give it up, Mayor Keith Pekau from Orland.
Sorry for the length of this, but Steve told me I had 15 minutes tonight, so I had to come up with a pretty long speech and a lot of topics. So a lot of you know me as the mayor in the video. In fact, I've done over 30 public service announcements for the village since COVID began. It was the one that went viral that you probably all saw. I feel it's the government's job, and particularly my job as the mayor, to keep everybody informed about what's going on with the pandemic. From the beginning, there's been a lot of uncertainty about the information that we've received. One frustration has been, at least for me, that the information has constantly changed. I would have preferred that the CDC came out and said, hey, we don't know. And we think it's a good idea to wash your hands. It's a good idea to do that anyways. It's a good idea to distance yourself from other people until we can figure this out. Because now we don't believe anything they say, because first it's wear masks, and it's don't wear masks, and it's back and forth. So just be honest with us. I think we can handle the truth if you tell us the truth. So that, for me, that was the biggest thing. Just tell us the truth. We can adapt. You already saw businesses doing that. In Orland Park, before there was a shutdown order, we had 50% of the movie theater was blocked off, and they were only seating half as many people. A lot of our restaurants were only seating half as many people. People are good people. They were trying to do what was right in a situation that was unknown. Instead, what we got a shutdown. Okay, so in that shutdown, you could go to an essential store with hundreds of other people. But if we went to play golf with 4 of us, we were going to get COVID. We knew that over 90% of the people who died from COVID had pre-existing health conditions. Yet we were still not allowed to go work out in the gym. However, pot stores were essential, so getting high was okay. Liquor stores were essential, getting drunk was good. And that was approved. I mean, you can't make this kind of stuff up. Let's just be logical about it. A family of 6 was allowed to pile in their car and drive to the boat ramp. But only 2 of them could get on the boat, because on the boat they were going to get COVID. What sense does that make? Now, so currently, we can have an open-air concert limited to 20% capacity, but bowling alleys need to be limited to 50 people. And other indoor venues besides bowling alleys, they can be at 50%. Peaceful protests to reopen and religious services were shut down because it was a public health threat. However, violent protests were okay. They were especially okay if they were protesting to defund our police. We can't make this stuff up. By now, you are all aware that Cook County Public Health Department has instituted a quarantine for anyone who travels from certain other states for 14 days. I find that very interesting, considering the Cook County Department of Public Health couldn't even provide masks to our first responders. They also refused to provide addresses of people with COVID to our first responders, putting them at risk. So they will not quarantine a sick person who they know is sick, but they want us to quarantine the healthy. And how are we supposed to do that? because they said it's our responsibility to do that. 50 different entrance points to Orland Park. We're supposed to man those 24/7. That's 150 people. We have 100 officers in our police force. How are we supposed to do that? Again, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So let me put this in a nutshell. Throughout this whole COVID thing, we've quarantined the healthy. That's what we've done for the first time in human history. That can't be allowed to happen again. The other thing that I've been doing is taking the governor on his fair tax scheme, which I call the progressive tax. There's really two reasons that you'll hear all kinds of reasons to not support this. Is it working? You'll find two reasons to not support this for me. You'll hear a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Is it working? Keeps cutting out. All right, but for me, there's two reasons. The state has a spending problem, and they can't be trusted.
There you go.
Those are the two reasons. We don't have to go any further than that. Let's just keep it simple. The last time we had a true balanced budget was 2011. There was an income tax increase in 2011, and revenues went from $16.1 million in 2011 to $23.5 million in 2014. Yet our deficit increased to $3.9 billion. Long-term debt and unfunded liabilities have ballooned to $254 billion from $56.7 billion in just the last 12 years. J.B. Pritzker doubled the gas tax, and it is now tied to inflation, so it's going to continue to go up. He increased car registrations by 50% and added a boatload of other taxes. Yet the 2021 budget has a $6.5 billion deficit. It's a spending problem. Government pensions are sucking the life out of our budget. When do we do a constitutional amendment for that? In 1970, the pension liabilities for health benefits and to retirees were $2.5 billion. They're now $254 billion. Unfunded liabilities are over 6 times revenue. How many of you who own a business can run a business that way? I certainly can't. Ruben, can you?
Hell no, get out of this.
Okay. So in Orland Park alone, 50% of our property tax levy goes to cover pension costs. It's just not sustainable. That's the problem. The problem is not revenue. The second thing, the state can't be trusted. In 2011, we had a tax increase. It was supposed to be temporary. By 2015, the proponents of the progressive tax fought against keeping it temporary and wanted it to be permanent. By 2017, they got their way. And over Governor Rauner's veto, they still managed to get a 2017, they got another tax increase, back up to 5% and 7% on businesses. So much for temporary. Here's something you don't know. There's this little fund called Local Government Distributive Fund that goes to every municipality, and it's based off of income tax. And the deal that was made years ago when they put in an income tax is that local governments would get 10% of whatever the state collected on a per capita share. And in exchange for that, no one would do their individual income tax, including the city of Chicago. So that number was 10% for over 30 years. In 2011, it was reduced to 6%. In 2015, it went back up to 8%. In 2019, it was back down to 5.65%. Now, you'll hear them say, we're fully restoring it to 6%, not to 10. Now, I want to put this in real terms you can understand. In Orland Park, we received $5.5 million for that LGDF last year. We would have received $9.5. $4 million is a lot of property tax relief, a lot of roads. Homer Glen's half our population. So they would have received about $2 million extra. That'd go a long way to help fixing your roads, wouldn't it? Again, a broken promise. They've also been diverting money away from the personal property replacement tax. $311 million this last year. For Orland Park, that's a loss of $1.5 million. The Constitution of Illinois says, and I quote, the state has the primary responsibility for financing the system of public education. In this area, the state funds about 10% of education. Let me repeat, the lottery was also supposed to fund education. Gaming was supposed to fund education. Where does that money go? Pensions. That's where it goes. So again, more broken promises. How about this slogan for those of you old enough to remember it? It's from the 1960s. Toll-free by 73. We're still playing tolls. Gone down $3.55 lately and gone up north and paid $7 or $8. In 1989, there was a temporary tax hike also, from 2.5% to 3%. Now we're at 5%. But here's a big one. You guys all know that the federal government has provided this money, right, for COVID. So they provided relief to the state of Illinois to the tune of $3.5 billion. According to the federal government, 45% of that is supposed to be dedicated to government entities less than 500,000 people. Okay? So on a per capita basis, that would be $1.57 billion shared across the state, not including Chicago because they got their money directly. On a per capita basis, to Orland Park, that would be $9 million. For Homer Glen, it would be $4 to $5 million. Okay? Instead, the state legislature passed their budget. Instead of sharing $1.57 billion, they're sharing $250 million, and anyone who lives in Cook and Will County are cut out. They get nothing. That's the state, again, taking federal dollars and sticking it in their pocket. Again, they can't be trusted. Forget all the other reasons. Yeah, we know it's going to cost jobs, we know it's going to hurt businesses, but it's not a revenue problem, and the state can't be trusted. Period. So in my first 2 years as mayor, I got a lot of time. But what you don't know is I'm also the guy, I ran as a Republican, which is kind of unheard of for a mayor, okay? And I ran against a 24-year machine-backed Democrat. And I beat him. I was unknown. My first poll, I was down 64 to 10. Everyone told me it was a fool's errand, I'd never get elected. I am proof that the machine can be beat. In my first 2 years, I had 6 village trustees from both sides of the aisle, both sides, Republican and Democrat, that were aligned with the former machine Democratic mayor. Yet in all that time, here's some of the things that were accomplished in those 2 years. I put a binding term limit resolution on this November's ballot. I ran on it, I put it on the agenda, and I cast the deciding vote 4 to 3. I lowered the mayor's position's pay from $150,000 to $40,000 for the next term, as I promised. I did not take a pension, as I promised. I cut our operating budget by 7.5% in the first 2 years, and shrunk our full-time staff by 5%. I stopped a $4 million restaurant tax. I'm sure, Ruben, you'd be happy to know that. I worked with the board to opt out of the Cook County minimum wage and sick pay ordinances. Now, obviously, the state has since screwed us over and put that minimum wage thing intact. We reduced in Orland Park in the first 2 years debt by over $40 million. Our index crimes, so public safety, pretty important. Our index crimes have dropped to the lowest level since we've been reporting it for 27 years. So that's the kind of stuff that was done with a board that was against me. Now this was in spite of the fact that the machine was attacking me constantly. I was on the job for a total of 2 weeks when a trustee filed complaints with the state's attorney saying that I had broken bid laws since I was sworn in. 2 weeks. How many of you are in local government? How fast does a bid even get to the board?
That's pretty good.
So for 2 years, I was constantly attacked. They investigated me clandestinely and in violation of the Open Meetings Act, spending $40,000 of taxpayer money with never a vote. The problem is, for them, I don't do business like they do.
That's right.
I'm honest, and I'm transparent. All of our meetings now are on video, they're on audio, and we continually give that information out to the people so that they can see what's going on. That's a marked change from 5-minute meetings where everyone voted 7-0 for the previous 6 years. So at the last election, we managed to get 3 Republican trustees elected in 2019. Since that time, we approved our concert series. We increased our capital program to fix roads and parks that were neglected for years. They ran up debt from $13 million to $158 million from 1998 to 2016. So we couldn't get our roads and parks fixed because we were diverting those funds. So we got all of the, and we've managed through COVID without massive cuts. We've made some where needed, but we didn't have to make massive cuts because we were in a strong fiscal position. Isn't that something the state would like to be in? Why do you think Indiana can weather this? Because they're in a strong financial position, whereas we're bankrupt. So after getting these people elected, we were able to get all this done. In the last year, however, this is not without a lot of attacks. In the last year, there have been approximately 30, maybe a little more, anonymous robocalls against me. I've been called a lot of things, including a child abuser, including that I've taken bribes, but also my family's been attacked. My wife has had letters sent to her job, to businesses in town, and to people who she works with and people who I work with about her, talking about things from high school in North Carolina that don't even exist, calling her things that no one in here would want to be called. And those have been sent to some of our biggest businesses in town. They didn't stop there. They attacked my son and my daughter-in-law, who don't even live in Orland Park. They live in Denver. They haven't lived in Orland Park since I've been elected. They live in Denver. Okay? That's the kind of stuff that they do. We have a local journalist who continues to claim that I'm actually doing these calls, that I'm sending these letters. This is simply insane, and it shows exactly how far the machine will go to try and stay in power. This is about power, pure and simple. How many of you in this room believe that at its core, Mike Madigan thinks the police should be defunded? Anybody here believe that? The problem is, he doesn't care as long as it keeps him in power. It's all about power. It's not about what's right. It's not about what's wrong. John Cass called this the bipartisan combine. It's Republicans and Democrats that have been entrenched for years that are doing this. I bring up the combine because, and now I'm going to close this up and talk about Mike Fricilone. Okay? This is what he faces in Congressional District 3. And the reason I talk about it is because he's in Homer Glen. I've known Mike for 17 years, but his district goes through Orland Park as well. Okay? He's not getting any help from the Republican Party. Are you getting any? Getting any from the National Party? Getting any from the state party? So there you heard it. No help whatsoever. The state party gave up on Cook County years ago, and now the front line of the battle is in the Collar counties like Will County, because they didn't push back. They didn't make us. They didn't fight for their ground. Orland Township is the most Republican township in Cook County. And we had a Democratic machine mayor for 24 years. And after I was elected, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party went after me, because it's about entrenched political power. This is where the battleground is right now. It's in Congressional District 3. And we need to start pushing them back into the city right now. Mike needs your help. We can win with bodies. As Tim says, yeah, it takes money. We need money. We're not going to get money from the National Party. We're not going to get money from the state party. We're not going to get enough. What does that mean? It means you're going to have to get out there with bodies. Like I said, I've known him for 17 years. He's a good man who will represent us well. His opponent is Marie Newman, who is an AOC-endorsed liberal. She's also been endorsed by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. She supports movements that are focused on defunding the police, tearing down statues, and promoting Marxism. Half of Orland Park is in that district. And they've been sending their campaign people to protest in our town, to stand up and disrupt our meetings, because that's what they do. They're against the police. They're against us supporting the police. They spoke out against us supporting the police. How many of you know that right after all those riots and everything, that the Village of Orland Park at the next board meeting declared it Orland Park Police Appreciation Month? They were there to speak against it. Marie Newman and her supporters seek to destroy the America that we know. The looters and rioters tear down statues in Chicago, and they encourage it. Then they blame the police. When the looters and rioters are arrested, they let them go. What does the governor do? He threatens to arrest Reuben for opening up his business. He threatens to arrest me for not following his guidelines. That's what the governor does. That's what they do. Of course, in Cook County, Kim Fox is happy to oblige and let all those looters and rioters go. Then they work with the rioters and looters to do more of it, and come to our meetings and come disrupt their towns. That's what they do. Seattle's CHOP that you've seen, That's her way, that's Marie Newman's way of moving forward. That's not what Homer Glen means, that's not what Orland Park means, that's not what Oak Lawn means, that's not what Evergreen Park means, that's not what the city of Chicago needs that are in her area. All those police and fire, I know that they're accustomed to their entire life going into the booth and voting deep. That's what they do. Because they don't think. They probably agree with us on 95% of the issues. And if you could get out there and let them know what she stands for, they will vote for Mike. Let them know what Mike stands for, they'll vote for Mike. If that wasn't enough, she wants government health care for all. How many of you have been on government health care before? I have in the military. It's not that good. So that's something else that she's looking for. She supports all forms of higher taxes, including the progressive tax that JB wants. She wants more social programs, and she wants our criminals to be allowed roam free. I don't have to tell any of you where that leads. It leads to fewer successful businesses, fewer jobs, a weaker economy, a lower standard of living for all of us, and the government running our life, which is exactly what they want. On the other hand, Mike Fricilone is a candidate who loves America. He wants it strengthened, and he doesn't want it changed. It will be stronger by giving people like Mike the opportunity to serve you. He will make us stronger by supporting things that keep our economy strong and keep people working and keep people responsible for their own lives. We need more common sense. That is what I've been trying to do for 3 years. That is what I know Mike will do when he's in Congress. Let's take back America and start the process of taking back Cook County and the state of Illinois. We need your help to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, now that's the mayor. Now coming up is somebody that hopefully someday runs for mayor of Chicago. Yeah! Mr. John Catanzara. Give it up, John Catanzara.
All right, good evening, everybody. I was not even speaking tonight. I don't know why they're doing this to me, but clearly, we want Mike. Absolutely. We need Mike. We need Mike, obviously, in Will County. We need Mike in Cook County. Hands down. It's almost a formality when he comes in for the PAC committee to get our endorsement at the FOP. For those of you that don't know, I'm the president of Fraternal Order Police Lodge 7 in Chicago. Obviously, you know, he mentioned Kim Fox's name. And you think you got it bad out here, try living in Cook County. That's all I'm going to tell you. The justice system is so destroyed, it's ridiculous. Ruben's got a nice gig here, but he couldn't have this restaurant in the city of Chicago. They just closed down the Chicago staple, Cork and Carey's. The alderman had it shut down because they had too big of a crowd in there. Revoked their license temporarily, suspended it. So that's what we're dealing with in the city. But, you know, money's good, but bodies make all the difference in these elections. We're obviously changing the whole design of the PAC committee within Lodge 7 going forward, trying to make it a real PAC committee, not what it's been for the 25 years I've been on the job. But we're dedicated to providing bodies, to knock on doors, make phone calls, whatever it's going to take to try and turn the tide in this state, and obviously in the city too. But we have to start with the state and the counties going forward. We really need Mike. Newman is a nightmare. I told Mike point blank. He better hope Newman wins, because if it was Lipinski, it would be a tough road. It really would, because he had pretty good name recognition with at least the Chicago people. But Lipinski's not there, so Mike is the guy. He needs to go to Washington, D.C. Another Republican vote in the city of Chicago would be pretty damn impressive, because it's been a long time. So, I don't know where Mike, you have my firm commitment. We're going to supply bodies, whatever it takes. So, we're going to do our part in the city. I'm challenging you all. These are conversations you need to have with your friends, with your relatives, over and over and over again. You have to get these points across so the word spreads. They can't be just conversations in these same echo chambers that we're at right now. It has to get out around, separate from that, if we're going to really make a difference come this November. So thanks for your time. Everybody have a safe night. Drink up. Ruben, Can you put on more Ingram at 9 o'clock? I'll be on over there.
So, you know, I mentioned it before, and John mentioned it again, and a few other people. This is a grassroots operation, everybody. It takes all of the organizations, everybody to start the conversation. I know nobody wants to be that guy that brings up politics, but what the hell? Democrats, they're bringing the fight to us. They got the money, they got the popularity. We have to take the fight back to them. So what does that mean? It means you got to take the Democrats that are moderate to conservative. And you know who they are. The people who used to vote for the Lipinskis of the world, they're sick and tired of this. They don't want to see any of this. Those are the ones that are the prime candidates for you to bring over to the right side, back to the Republican Party. And that's a conversation that we have to start. Little by little, inch by inch, the way the communists are doing. Let's take the fight to them. So, next up, we have one of those organizations that are hitting the ground running. Those conversations that start little by little in the out-of-touch areas, the areas that aren't the urban areas. The people that go little by little, making these conversations to be known. And one of those organizations is Eyes Wide Open, whose chair is here today, Victor Santana. Give a loud applause for Victor Santana.
Hello, everyone. I want you guys to know something. And this is really important. I'm a recovering Democrat. And for most of you that don't know me, Steve Ballish, and we call him Momo, is my sponsor. And so I have to go through the 12 steps right now every week because of this Chinese Wuhan virus. I haven't been able to come to Ruben's place and a few other places, so I meet up with Momo every week. And we talk and we sit and we go through things. So I'm still a recovering Democrat. So that means this year I came out of the closet. I voted Republican. I'm out of the closet and I'm proud. So, seriously, John Catanzara, Mike Fricilone, that's what we stand for. If you haven't seen John on TV, you haven't met Mike Fricilone, well, watch John on TV, and soon enough, we're going to see Mike on TV. Because one of the things that's happening, as a Democrat, I used to see and tell my bosses how the commies are coming. Now, for those of you that are old enough, you can remember that statement. But when I said it, everybody said I was kind of conspiracy theorist. Yeah, you're afraid somebody's hiding behind every post mailbox, behind every pole, every building. Well, guess what? I was right. They are. You'll be surprised where they're at. And Mike Madigan, who was considered to be a conservative Democrat many years ago, never liked me. But the reason why is because, just like Momo, I speak my mind. If I see something going haywire, crooked, kind of shady, I make my comments known. But one of the good things about that is that the Democratic Party has shown their true colors in the last 2 months. And if you really want to look at it, the last 4 months. Because, guess what? This Chinese Wuhan virus, they're making stuff up. They really are. The media, the politicians. And one of the things I want you to know, because I love what Momo's doing here in Homer Township, we've been friends a long time. And I can tell you this right now, I love it. And we are going to win. We're going to win with President Trump. We're going to win with Mike Fricilone. We're going to win in Will County. Because I want you all to know what we're doing. Eyes Wide Open has created a software that's a virtual precinct. So each and every one of you is going to know who to talk to. So when John's talking about this, the mayor was saying this, we need those bodies, I'm going to tell you something. We're going to tell you trying to help to identify those voters because it's very important for all of you that don't know me personally. I was the guy that they sent out across the country to work on presidential, senatorial, congressional races, county races, so on and forth. I worked up pretty much across the country. And I had to win. I was told by my boss, that some of you might know the name, but his name was Joe Barrios, the former assessor, Cook County Party chairman. He told me at one election, do me a favor, if you don't win, don't come back. That's the dedication on the Democratic side. I need that from all of you. Because seriously, look around. Look at the person to the left and right, behind you, in front of you, and those in the back. Because this place will be the last time you're here. Because 5 years from now, if they win, you ain't gonna have this. Or you can get together peacefully. Now, if you all had a Molotov cocktail and a brick, God bless, they're gonna let you go through the neighborhood. But until then, we still have a chance. And Loya and I talk about this all the time. We gotta win. For those of you that don't know, George Pearson, we call him Lefty, the Will County Republican chairman. Loya, Lefty, and others, we talk about this all the time. We don't have an option. So that you guys all know, losing is not an option anymore. You won't have pensions. Do you know one of the plans that was pitched, about 5, 6 years ago? Before Bruce Rauner was governor? Why can't we steal your private pensions, your savings account? Guys and girls, it's real. I was an insider. I was one of those rats. I want you to know, it's real. When you hear Ocasio-Cortez or Nancy Pelosi or Schmucky Schumer, any of those guys, I got news for you. They're serious. I know. Now, I haven't said this in public, said it privately to individuals, but a very powerful congressman who's a Democrat on the East Coast told me in February, "Oh, Vic, you're called, when are you coming?" I said, "Well, I don't know." He goes, "Hey, we got to keep it shut down till August." Well, the schmuck that I am, I didn't realize what he was talking about. I do now. I told Momo, Lefty, and a bunch of our team on Eyes Wide Open that we're going to the convention. Guess what, guys? We don't have a convention. And now you know. They're talking about shutting down the schools. They're going to shut them down. So I want you all to know, losing is not an option. We have to win. But 2020 isn't it. We got 2021, 22, 23, 24. Out of every 10 years, every decade, there's an election 9 years. Only 1 year out of those 10 years. This is what they teach us. So all of you, please, because usually I'm up here, I'm joking, clowning around, having fun. But this is really serious. And I love that this room is packed, because that means all of you are serious. Because all I see are these young guys and girls. Do you realize we're taking away their future? I have a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old. I'm waiting for when I have grandkids. Their future's gone because we're not serious. So please, keep that in mind. Thank you for coming. And as John said, as the mayor said, you know what? Mike's got to win. There is no option. Because if he doesn't, I know who to blame. Everybody here. Well, thank you for letting me speak. Thank you for supporting Orland Township. Thank you for being the moment. Thank you all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard it yet, we are at war. We are at war 100%. What kind of war? Well, we're already starting the Cold War. Who best to have at the helm? Our President Donald Trump. Yeah! He's going to get us through that Cold War. He doesn't give a damn about anybody's feeling. He wants to win. And thank God from the heavens above, somebody sent a chairman for our Will County Republican organization to be that chief, to be that wartime chairman, George Pearson. Yeah! George Pearson.
What's going on, everybody? This is a great crowd out here tonight. Thank you all for coming out and spending some money with some good people out here. I want to mention some candidates that are here tonight that if you have not gotten an opportunity to meet and speak with them, please do. Nick Fricilone, who's running for county executive. Will County. We got Gretchen Fritz, I think she's outside enjoying another margarita. She's running for recorder of deeds. We got James Bueller in the back running for auditor. There is the position. These folks out here in Will County have lost anywhere between $9 to $25 million. They have no idea where they left it. If this is not the time to replace our current auditor, I don't know why we're even here. This guy actually teaches. So can you imagine what the students are learning if he can't figure between $9 and $25 million loss?
Does he teach math?
Apparently not. It's the new arithmetic. Gotta replace it. Jim Passatini. I don't know if any of you guys ever seen him. He's usually an extra on Chicago Fire, but he's running for our coroner out here in Will County. Ben Burley, Major Burley, he's running around here somewhere. He's a Marine, so man, we'll pass him. Ooh, I'm sorry. My bad. We've got Tom McCullough, who's been doing an excellent job running in the 49th District to replace JBT. Now, I call her JBT because she's JB's junior over there out of the Senate. And we've definitely got to replace that. Tom is actually polling 5% above the Democrat over there in that area. And that's a hell of a job because he's been a supporter of the police. He's been a supporter of our nurses and all of our emergency and essential workers over the last 3 months. The man came up with a design for the face mask to help protect them. So if you don't know Tom McCullough, get to know him out there. I'm going to leave you with 3 things. There are 3 types of people in the world. There are those who do. There are those who support the doers. And then there are those who do nothing. Will County is starting to inherit a bunch of do-nothers. They're moving in like most parasites do because they've sucked all the blood and the life out of Chicago and out of Cook County. So they were trying to come down here into our, I like to call it our heavenly places down here in Will County. We've got some beautiful places, some great neighborhoods, some great people, hard-working, blue-collar, middle-class people, and we want to keep it like that. But the only way to do that is to make sure that we're electing the right people in these offices this November 3rd. In order to get them elected, we need volunteers, we need donations, but we need your support. If you haven't joined their Facebook pages, go to their Facebook pages and share their information. Because you would be surprised at how many people look at it. They may not like it, but they do pay attention to what you share. Share it with your friends and family. Share that word. Get it out there. Be a supporter. Be a supporter. These folks need your help. Here's one last. How many Republicans are out here in Will County? There are now 113,000 Democrats. Let me repeat that. There are 89,000 Republicans. There are 113,000 Democrats. There are 130,000 independents out there. These are folks that just refuse to claim one way or the other. That is our niche. Those are the folks that we've got to go to and get energized to come out here. So we don't talk about their property taxes. How come that they'll be paying their property taxes next year and won't get a rebate? And yet the teaching unions are pushing for what? More money. How in the world can you ask for more money and you're making the parents teach their kids themselves at home? How do you do that? How do you fix the nerve to even form the syllables that come out of your mouth to say, I'm going to charge you more money, but they got to stay at home with you? You've got a choice this November, and by the way, a couple weeks after November 3rd, because this last primary, March 20th, we thought the vote was over. Up to 2 weeks after March 20th, they collected another 4,500 ballots. They will try to take this election from you, and we will lose our heavenly places. So if you're not working for a candidate, I would like to see you up in the Central Committee office at a Homer Township meeting and finding out what day you can work after the November 3rd election to help make sure we keep our felony clerk in line and not counting a bunch of false ballots like they tried this last election. I got your support. Do I have your word? Did you sign up? If you didn't sign up, do not walk out this door tonight without putting your name, email, and cell phone number on here. I will be looking for you. I know each and every single one of you. Good night, folks.
All right, the next person that's going to be presenting is a person that's very, very important to the Republicans on this side of town. From Western Springs all the way to Bridgeport, this man has to win. This is a race, good versus evil. I'm telling you, the socialists cannot get to, this cannot be a communist state. If this man loses, that's it, it's over. So we all need to put our support behind this gentleman, Mike Fricilone. Mike Fricilone, come on up.
Thank you, Rhoda. Well, I didn't prepare a canned speech because I knew I was last tonight. Everybody would already say everything. And both Keith, I want to thank Keith and John for doing a great job talking about me, probably more than I would talk about myself. You know, it's kind of a little bit of a reluctant candidate. I feel myself, I call myself a public servant, not really a politician. And I've been very happy to serve most of you that live in Homer and Lockport on the Will County Board, and I think Steve and I accomplished a lot on the Will County Board. You know, my 4 years as chairman of the Finance Committee, we were able to reduce the tax rate all 4 years. You know, we worked on a way to work our bonds and work our finances so we can build all of those great new buildings, which we badly needed in Will County. So if you get a chance to go down to Joliet, you can see the brand new public safety facility. You can see the brand new health center. And opening around December 1st is going to be the brand new courthouse. A 370,000 square foot building, 10 floors, state-of-the-art, brand new courtrooms. And we did all 3 of those buildings without raising taxes. Because I wouldn't let us build anything if we had to charge you more. One of the other things we did with that building, and I have to pat myself a little bit, I pushed this. A lot of people talk about climate change and renewable energy, and I always said, I'm not against sustainability and renewable energy. We just have to be financially smart about it. So that building, that new courthouse, will have solar panels on the roof. It will produce 7% of the energy for that building, but here's the good part. Those panels will be paid off in 7 years, and they're good for 35 years. That's responsible sustainability, not a Green New Deal. So I've been very happy on the Will County Board. I was happy to continue my term. You know, with Steve at my side, he keeps me going every day, and it gives me a lot to do. We're a good team. but I saw an opportunity here. You know, for those of you who have been voting for the last 40 years in the 3rd District, you only had one congressman. Well, one name, 2 men, Bill Lipinski and Dan Lipinski. That's all you ever had. And so I said, you know, number one, it's time to bring that down. But first, I said, we need a responsible, qualified candidate to run for Congress. Last time, you might remember, our candidate against Dan Lipinski was Art Jones, the Nazi. And Steve and I were putting out literature saying, vote for Mike and Steve for the county. Don't vote for the Nazi. We should never have to do that. We should never have to do that. So I said, let's take him down first. So I took down the Nazi, and now what do I get? I'm running against the socialist. I can't win. This is ridiculous. Can I have a regular candidate to run against? Actually, this is a good thing, because I think Maureen Newman's going to help me win, because every time she talks to somebody and talks about socialism, they go, you're nuts. We can't have somebody like that in there. I'll tell my little joke. Socialist walks into a bar, says, drinks for everybody. It's on you, and it's on you, and it's on you. That's the problem. They want to talk about everything is for free. We're going to give you free school, free health care. My dad told me a long time, nothing in life is free. Somebody's got to pay for it. They want all you to pay for it. 4, 5, 6 times your taxes to pay for free health care alone. They're talking about $32 trillion over 10 years to put the plan they want in effect. And you know, every time they do those numbers, the calculator slips a little bit and the number's never right. So that's a problem. So I hope she talks more to people, because every time she talks to somebody, they get turned off. So as it turns out, I'm the candidate now. And I'm going to win this election. I'm going to help the president take the House back. We're not only going to hold the Senate, we're going to take the House back. We've got some other good candidates running around here, Virginia's and Overwise, and if we can take a couple more of those seats, we're going to have a chance to take the House back. And that's what the president needs to really get some more things done, is to get the whole House. So I think you've heard it a couple of times today. Here's the key. We've got to talk to people. It's a little hard right now since you can't gather, but I've noticed during this pandemic, more people are spending a lot of time on the phone. I know I am. So when you're talking to people, say, hey, what do you think about what's going on? And I mean, you may get that, oh, I think JB is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And just end the conversation. But if they start talking about, this is ridiculous with the Madigans of the world and what Pelosi's trying to spend in the House, that's your key to start saying, you know what, we have to change that. And one way we can change it is get someone like Mike Fricilone in there. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was, Maureen Newman wants to defund the police. And, you know, Ruben was talking about how he felt when Father Tom talked, as well as I did. It was awesome. What was also awesome was this Saturday when Steve and I went down to the Back the Blue rally. The people out there truly understand that we need our police departments. They protect me, my family, and my community every day, and do a job that I wouldn't do for any amount of money. I wouldn't risk my life like they do, and I want to thank their families just for being able to deal with what they have to deal with every day when their spouse goes out or their boyfriend goes out and protects us. So we went down to the rally, and of course Antifa was out there ringing their cowbells. Mancow was one of the speakers, and he said one good line to the Antifa people, why don't you take your cowbells and go ring them down in Inglewood where they're shooting each other. See what happens there if you want to ring your cowbells. We've got to protect our police. Now, I don't disagree that we need more mental health care, but we can't find it by taking Robin Peter to pay Paul. We can't take it out of the police department. That makes absolutely no sense. You know, everyone in Chicago was talking about the consent decree. And in that decree, it said they need more cops, not less. And yet, the mayor wants to take them away. So, here's my view of what I'm going to do in Congress. I don't have a personal agenda. I'm not going there to push some Green New Deal. I'm there to represent the people. I'm a public servant, not a politician that's just trying to get elected again. So my votes are what the people of our district need. They need jobs, they need decent transportation, they need safety in their communities. That's what's important to the 3rd District. Not having a Green New Deal, not having some plan that's free that nobody can afford to pay. So when I go there, I'm listening to you. That's what I represent, just like Steve and I do that in Will County right now. We hear every day from constituents out here. We hear what's going on, and we go back to Will County and we tell them, this is what the constituents want. This is what they don't want. We fought a hard fight on the gas tax. Unfortunately, we lost to the majority Democrats, tax and spend, tax and spend. So my whole focus going to Congress is to represent every single person that lives in our district. Whether they're Democrat or Republican, we take the majority of what they're saying and we go represent them. Unfortunately, we've lost that. We've lost that in our government. And what also is important, I just signed my U.S. term limit pledge, because our founding fathers, when they put this government together, they said you should come out of your business or career and serve as a public servant for a short period of time and then go back to your job. And I firmly believe that. These guys that have served and women that have served 40 and 50 years, it's become a career for them. This was never supposed to be a career. I don't believe it should be a career for me either. I was actually going to self-inflict my term limit on the county coming up because I've served and it's now time for someone else to serve. But we've lost the word service somewhere in government. Now we think we have a right, or we're an elitist, or we're a king, or we're in charge. That's got to stop. And when I get there, it will. Now, I will be joining the Problem Solver Caucus. The Problem Solver Caucus is made up of Democrats and Republicans and independents that actually want to sit down and talk out what we need to do and what we need to change. Because we've got to stop the one side, the other side. You've got to have some kind of conversation to get to a point that you make a firm decision that benefits all the people. Many of you saw the Republicans have pushed forward their plan for CARES Act number 4. I think we're on number 4. Right now, Steve and I are dealing with CARES Act number 3. And we got Judy over there and Gretchen too from the Will County Board. We're dealing with CARES Act number 3. Will County got $120 million to give out to businesses, to municipalities, to homeless shelter and food to pay for COVID expenses. And now Congress has pushed and said, we need more money. We haven't spent this yet. No one's even given any money out yet, but they're willing to push money, push money, push money. And it's all based in a political move to say if we keep giving money out, people will vote for us. So hopefully the Republicans are going to hold the line. They put their first salver out there about continuing some unemployment, but not to the degree that the Democrats want, the giveaways where people are making more money than if they work, so nobody wants to go back to work. So hopefully the Republicans will push back hard enough on that. I know I'll be part of that group. So as was said earlier, it's going to take each and every one of you to continue to talk to people and start getting that word out there that we've got to change things. You can talk about my opponent all you want. I'm fine with that, because the more they know about her, the less likely anybody's going to vote for her. And actually, Dan Lipinski himself told me she's nuts. So I came straight from the horse's mouth. So I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I've been part of HTRO for many years now. We're really cranking it up. Ruben and Steve have done a tremendous job putting this organization together. But as everybody has said before me, it's only as good as you getting out there and working. We can come to an event and we're all on the same page, and I know you guys are all voting for me. We got to get to the people that don't know who they should vote for and tell them why they should vote for me and the other Will County members that are here for executive and auditor and recorder of deeds, all those other offices. We have to let them know why it's important to you, especially on the Will County level, because that affects your taxes every single day. So thank you again. It's Mike Fricilone. I have signs over here you can take. You want to go to my website, fricilone4congress.com, press that donate button, and answer my call. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, everybody, before we close, just the speech part, because you're going to be able to drink and eat and mingle and do all that nice stuff. I want to remind everybody that doing what we do as candidates and people who represent you is not easy. You got to take a lot of your free time, you got to sacrifice a lot, you got to take a beating, you got to go through a lot. It takes a special person to do what we do, but at the same time, we need you and you need us because we're representing you. So there are a few candidates here that are running under the Republican ticket. If I can have everybody's attention really quick, we're almost done. Pay attention to these candidates, they're very important. There's a whole bunch of them, but I'm going to read the key ones that we need to get to. Of course, Mr. Tim Ozinga running for State Representative 37. Give him an applause, please. Mr. Mike Fricilone, who was just up here, 3rd District, running for Congress. Mrs. Gretchen Fritz, running candidate for Recorder of Deeds, Will County. Give her an applause, please. Mr. Nick Ficarello, candidate for Will County Executive. Thank you, sir. Tom McCullough, candidate for 49th District, State Senate seat. Ben Beerley, Senate District 43. And then we have Anthony Bernardo running for Will County Circuit Court Clerk. He needs our support. Give it up for Mr. Bernardo. So before I leave you guys today, remember one thing. I'm a Hispanic American and I am a Republican. A lot of my family gives me flack for that. I have a lot of Democrats in the family. Now let me tell you, and I'm going to tell you just if you have to go along with it, even if you're a younger person, they ask you, why the hell are you a Republican? All the rappers are telling you to be a Democrat. Well, this is what you got to tell them. It has nothing, absolutely nothing about my skin color. It has all to do with way of life. And that's what you tell them. Thank you, everybody.